Happy Tuesday evening for those of you on the east side of the world, and happy Wednesday morning and afternoon for those of you who aren't. So, welcome, welcome. Hey, Jean. Hey, Couch. Hey, Katya. Hey, Shill. My dog made me a little bit late. Getting a little older, and well, when they gotta go, they got to go. So, I'm gonna have to research that. Like, why is it when you get older, you have to go more? I don't know, more often. Hi, April. Good to see you. Mm. How is my volume? Can anybody give me a shout? Either a mod or anyone? Just let me know if it is. It should be coming in a little bit clear right now. I saw the dip. Mhm. As long as there's no static, there's no, it's coming in and you can hear me. Thank you. Thank you, Gatio. Thank you, April. I appreciate it. Hey, Couch. Good to see you. Oh, hey. Mm, Good. I'm glad. That's three. I'll go with that. If anybody else thinks it's not, well, they can tell me later. Okay. So today I only have two, but they're a little more in depth than usual. Oh, let's bring up. Hi, Turtle. Nice to see you. Thank you for the orders. So cute. So cute. All right. We have. Hello, Tina. Welcome. We have today a little bit of an update that I'd like to start with Chad Daybell. Okay. Um, you know, we did do the hearing a little while ago, and the judge kept John Pryor on the case at the request of Chad and John Pryor himself. Okay. Even after they filed those motions, they said they can't do it and they can't get paid and they don't have enough time and they don't have an expert and it's a death penalty case and yada yada yada. Well, during that hearing, we all heard it live. I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that Mr. Daybell and Mr. Pryor did a couple of steps back and said, "Oh, wait a minute, I think everything's just okay. We'll stay on the case." When asked directly if Chad Daybell still wanted John Pryor to be his attorney, he said yes. And when John Pryor was asked, "Do you still want to serve on the Daybell case?" he said yes. So there you go. No special things going on, no extensions, nothing. All right. They went on back and forth. They told him, "Go ahead and get your expert in death penalty cases. Go try to get another lawyer. Do what you got to do." But this case is moving forward. Now, for those of you that follow me, you may remember that this case is scheduled for trial the first week of April. I believe it's April 4th. And we've been waiting quite some time. Lori Vallow's case is over, done. Chad Daybell's known all this time. John Pryor has been with Chad Daybell from the start on this case. He's got all the stuff he needs. But what happened recently? They kind of threw a monkey wrench in it just a little bit. I really don't know what's going to happen because based on the motions, and let me explain. Lori Vallow is currently in trial in Arizona for the death of Charles Vallow. Okay. Conspiracy, etc. Now, we already know that her brother Alex, who is no longer with us, gone to the other side, confessed that he shot him. The police pretty well know what happened. But what they're alluding and what they're charging Lori for is a conspiracy to actually have that murder committed, that she actually coerced her brother into with lies and acceleration and was etc. manipulation, whatever you want to call it, into committing and shooting Charles that day. Because Charles did not commit violence against Lori. He didn't do anything, but this was what was being told. Or so the charges say, allegedly. Okay. That case brought to light some information. They received some more additional messages between Alex and Lori that the FBI figured that the state of Idaho needed to have. So they forwarded all of this to the state prosecutors for the Daybell case. and the Vallow case, which used to be tied together. Correct. Okay. Now, that discovery was open and it's available to John Pryor. But when John Pryor heard that they just did another report on the same evidence the FBI provided, okay, in his motion, he says now he needs more time to go over all this stuff that they have from the FBI. So he did file for an extension of time to go over this information that was provided on January 30th. That the state had notified him on January 30th that they are supplementing their discovery response with additional evidence, although a lot of the evidence is the same, it's just coming from a different source. Okay. Defense requests an expedited hearing on this issue to get an extension so that they can actually go over and find out if there's anything pertinent in there to help Chad Daybell's defense. Now, that's all well and good and normal, right? I mean, if something does get put into evidence, you definitely would want the ability to check it out, okay? But in his motion, he doesn't say what evidence is actually that important. And this is how the state has answered that motion. They said that the defendant did not list which items or was specifically referring to. There are 3 things that they issued. There is an FBI cast report prepared for Maricopa County Prosecutor's Office, which is Arizona, which was only recently provided to the state of Idaho. State's objection to the motion to extend time for this expert disclosure in reports says that, there were also pictures from the Idaho State Lab related to fingerprints of Alex Cox and fingerprint testing from the ISP lab, and that the FBI cast report that the state intends to use it in Chad Daybell's trial. However, there is nothing new. They're saying in reference to number 1, which is the FBI cast report, the state has informed the defendant that the state does not intend to use the cast report prepared for Maricopa County. However, when it was provided to the state of Idaho, the state felt that the need to disclose the report. So what they're saying is, we're not going to be using it anyway. Well, we had to disclose it because it was provided to us. And, that's kind of like, John Pryor just, is there a way that I can get some more time here? Because we all know John Pryor wants more time. Okay. In his motion, he said he could never be prepared for his trial. And now he's got trial in April. Okay. So, I would think he's sweating bullets, but that's my personal, opinion. No facts related. That's speculation. Okay. Well, it's, I was not surprised to see the motion. Okay. It's important to note that the defendant has all the data which was relied upon to create the report, and it has been in possession of said data for quite some time. That's in the state's response for the motion. Now, the judge will get both of these motions, and John Pryor has requested a hearing in order to, think. So hopefully, maybe we'll get to watch it. I imagine it would be a short hearing, but I will try to either put it live or record it. Or maybe he'll just do an order because he's just tired of these. Like, I would say I wouldn't even want to schedule it. There's no argument really here. If the judge thinks that there's enough there for oral arguments, I guess there'll be a hearing. But otherwise, I would say denied. But we'll see. Okay. This actual cast report is based on the same evidence that has been reported by the other investigations. The state actually says it is further of note that the defendant received that same data in a previous case on July 21st of 2020, approximately 10 months before he was indicted in the above captioned case, aka because of the Vallow case. All of this information was in the Vallow case. Okay. And that Vallow case was closely followed by John Pryor. And because their cases were tied together, They got all the evidence. And when that case was finally went to verdict, they got everything. They asked for all the detailed transcripts. They asked for all of the evidence that pertained to everything, and they got it all. So this the state has a point. I'm sorry, John Pryor. Like, it's the same evidence. You're just asking for it put in a different wording by somebody else and trying to use it for a delay. It's not going to tell you anything different. You need to move on. You need to go to trial. You need to stop. Like, stop wasting your time writing these motions and looking for ways out of it and get to the work. Like, get ready. Because, I do need some otters, Mark. Thank you. Because, like, this man's driving me crazy, Mr. Pryor. Like, I just picture him doing a two-step trying to get out of the court. He spent every day at the Vallow trial. Every day. He knows, and he has everything. Okay. In reference to number 2, which was the fingerprints of Alex Cross, the state says, regarding the fingerprint material, rather, the state provided this material to the defendant previously on August 9th of 2021. It was sent again because the investigator sent it to the state again. And as the state prepares for this defendant's trial, it is the general practice of the state to redisclose items if law enforcement sends it again to the state. In other words, better be safe than sorry. Let us just forward to you everything that everybody forwards to you, but you don't get an extension for it if it's the same evidence, Mr. Pryor. Like, I applaud you doing everything you can for your client. I do. You are definitely earning the money that you're not getting paid because he's indigent. However, you did get his house, so I guess you are doing a good job, and you want to give him a good defense, and he deserves a good defense, just like everybody does. But this is just wasting everybody's time. This is ridiculous because anybody that can read, and as the state has clarified, will know that it's all the same evidence. And what are you squawking about? You're looking a little silly here. Just a little bit. I mean, I know you're doing your job, but still. Regarding number 3, the actual report that the FBI wrote about the evidence. The FBI cash report the state intends to use in this defendant's trial is identical to the cash report used in defendant's wife's trial, which defense already has. The state did ask the FBI to provide further information on the report regarding Alex Cox's visits to the defendant's house. The state is aware the defendant is already aware of those incidents. Also, the labeling of this report differs slightly from the last report in order to make the report easier to understand. But similarly to the cash report, this data upon which this cash report was created has been in the defendant's possession since at least August 9th of 2021. No new scientific experts were disclosed in the state's discovery disclosure. Signed by both Lindsay Blake and Rob Wood and submitted on the 12th day of February in answer to John Pryor's ask for an extension and review of the expert witnesses. He's trying to infer that the FBI now sending this in is like expert whatever, and it's not. It's all the same stuff. Okay. And that's the update on that. as boring as that was. All of these documents can be found in the link below listed for the Idaho government site for records. They actually, because this is a popular case, it is they're all listed there and open for the record. Okay. So, and I see I've been reminded about my banner, and I forgot again. So, anybody who has that on your bingo card, it's a given. You might as well just exit out as soon as you get the card, because I always forget. Hey, hi. Nice to see you. Oh, hi, Mark. And thank you very much for the orders. Hey, Mousy, it's good to see you. It is. And Shill, I'm glad you're back, and thank you for the banner reminder. Because gosh knows, I definitely need those reminders. Okay. So I want to do something a little different. And I was hoping our friend Juju would be here because I think she'd be very interested in this. So hopefully she catches the replay. But I want to talk to you a little bit about Ashley Guillard and what's going on with that case. Okay. The judge did the plaintiff, Rebecca Scofield, she did file for summary judgment. Okay. And the judge said, well, because of the derogatories and this, that, and the other thing, you've got to provide the evidence as to why and blah, blah, blah. And Ashley Guillard did respond in time. Okay. There's going to be a hearing on the 20th, I believe, of March. And it's probably a video hearing. The judge has time to decide on this. But for summary judgment, you all know, like with summary judgment, that just means they didn't prove their case. She's admitted some fault, and she's actually saying she did what she did. Okay. Summary judgment, a summary judgment is like entered by the court when one party against another without a full trial. It's usually because after the derogatories and the asked and answered questions. Remember last time we spoke, we talked about the questions that go out, in that they are answered by the other party, and it could go back and forth. Okay. And I'm going to bring them up because there are several things I want to discuss about Ashley. First of all, we've been pretty much on the other side of this since I started talking about it because, well, it was about defamation. And just because Rebecca is an instructor or is in that area or whatever, she became a target. Okay. But Ashley Guillard has like a different view on it. She feels she really has a right to speak on her craft. In her craft being that the spirits talk to her and she does tarot readings. And she has stated publicly several times that she was asked to do this tarot reading and she can't help it if the information was detrimental to Rebecca Scofield. However, with the law the way it is, okay, regardless of how Ashley Guillard, what her beliefs are, and I'm not going to negate her beliefs or say there's anything wrong with it. That's for her. But her truth doesn't necessarily mean fact. And Ashley Guillard recently actually admitted that. I have linked below a channel, Swamp Rose, and I think I've talked to you before about it. They have a unique way of looking at things. They like to look at it holistically, everything, the whole picture. They like to look at different angles of things. They're very polite. They're very considerate, and they're very open to the mystical, which I have no fault with whatsoever. That's their thing. That's cool. They have used coverage that I have done with that on this case, the Scofield Guillard case, because like I may have been a little bit harsh, laughing about the fact that Ashley Guillard's. I made a joke about Ashley Guillard's. The voices that she hears or her spirit guides, having a go at her by letting her represent herself and not getting her good legal representation, or that they were like pulling her leg because, for me, it seemed a little much to keep doing the videos after the police had come forward and said that Rebecca Scofield wasn't involved, after there was actual evidence that she wasn't. There's actually not a scrap of evidence that she knew any of the deceased or that she had many ties, you know, to the situation at all, except for being in the same area and also, being in criminology. It was damaging to Rebecca Scofield emotionally, and it appears it could have been financially based on her income and whether she could work. Or she's a professor. If she's going for tenure, and there's rumor, or being just walking around that town, being in a university, the town was already all upset. But she had a case, and her case didn't get dismissed. Ashley thought that she had a case too, because when this case got filed, Ashley Guillard got bombarded. She got ridiculed, made fun of. She was getting horribly attacked on TikTok. She just recently did an interview with Swamp Rose on that channel, and I've listed it below because I would like you all to go and listen to it, because Ashley was well spoken. She wasn't rude. She says everybody's entitled to their opinion. She did admit that her opinion is not fact, but she still goes with that she has every right to say what a tarot reading is. She has every right to believe it. She has every right to think that the spirits are telling her the truth. She says she has a wealth of experience in her own life of the spirits telling her stuff that came true, that she's not going to doubt it. And that just because the law says she can't say it, like, she just thinks that law is wrong. Like, why can't she say her belief? Well, the law in Idaho is very specific, and I'm going to go over that with you too. But I thought it only fair to actually talk about Ashley's side of it, because we hadn't yet. We really hadn't. Like, we kind of just poo-pooed it as like, what? Like, she's just making her own problems here. Like, what's going on? And when I go over the answers and everything with you guys that she gave, you'll see why I still do believe that she's going to lose this case. I think it would have been better to settle. I have a better understanding after listening to her say where she's coming from as to why she was pushing as hard as she was to keep doing what she does. She looks at her TikTok tarot card reading. She looked at these readings and these projections as a business, and she was doing it. And she felt very put upon that people were trying to take her business away. And I think after you watch the interview, you'll find out that actually she's very against TikTok right now because they didn't support her. They allowed her the platform to do what she did, and then they just didn't support her when she needed the help. She does have a YouTube channel, and I've listed that below too. I've listed Swamp Rose in the video, and I'd invite you all, just like it's not a very long video and it is chaptered, I would start at about 30 minutes and just listen to Ashley speak and explain about where she's coming from with it. Like, she was asked to do the tarot reading on the murders. It's not like she just did it. And so she did it. And then the more that people fought against it, she was like, why do people automatically think it's not true unless they investigate Rebecca Scofield? Like, well, then she did find out that they did talk to her because Rebecca Scofield actually contacted them after all this came out because of what was happening, and that they did go through everything. And then, so when she continued after that, that's where her case got really difficult for her to win, because even after the information came out that they did, make a press release that said Rebecca Scofield had nothing to do with it, that it's been double checked. And then Ashley's like, well, I don't believe it because the spirits are saying otherwise. This is what the spirits say. And she kept doing it. And it was the continuation of it that could prove malice or intent, which, when we get into it, that is part of the problem here. All right, let me pull this one down. And I want to just read a couple of the answers and see if you guys are really most of the time on the same page as I am. And so I want to see which one was this? Wait, which one's this? Okay. Oh, it logged me out. Hold on. All right. Sorry, guys. I had everything up, and then because it because it it just times out because I got a lot of this right out of Pacer. Like that's where the Scofield Guillard case is. It's not up on the Idaho site. Okay. Um. That's not it. Okay. Ooh. There's going to be a hearing very soon on this. But what happens in the meantime is that they have to do the responses back and forth. They have to show the judge that they got everything back and forth. And that's basically what they did. So that it's definitely going to go forward. Why doesn't it show that? Okay, no. Basically, what it is every time Ashley was asked, the main one of the question was, does she admit that she continued with her narrative that Rebecca Scofield had contracted someone to murder the 4 students because she had an affair with one of them after it was public knowledge she wasn't involved? And Ashley Guilford acknowledged and said, admitted, because she did. She's being very truthful in her interrogatories back and forth. Very truthful. And unfortunately, that's part of the problem. Okay, because now I've got these 26 pages here that are full of the questions that was asked. And unfortunately, that's the problem. Well, when she gets asked the questions, she does admit that it all happened. You know, she stated publicly that Professor Schofield was involved with the murders. She admitted it. She answered the interrogatory. So basically, this gets submitted back to the court and says, like, if she's admitting that she did everything that we're telling you, we are actually processing this case for, or bringing this case forward, then, well, that is the problem. Like, that is the problem. Okay, she is actually admitting the problems. She's admitting what they are saying that she did wrong. She's actually telling them she did. So, like, how can they actually, how does that get defended? Okay, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like, this is where I feel that she's not doing herself justice, because when you look at this, collapse that, make this bigger. Okay. This is the document that I'm talking about. This is the request. This is defendant's response to plaintiff's request for admission. These are the response to requests for admissions. Okay, so number 1 was, admit that you have stated publicly that Rebecca Scofield had an affair with Kaylee Gonzalez. She admits in part and denies in others to this fact. Specifically, I admit that I stated publicly the results of a tarot reading. The tarot reading revealed that Rebecca Scofield had an affair with Kaylee Gonzalez. Yep. Number 2, admit that you have stated publicly that Rebecca was involved with the murders. I admit in part, specifically, and deny in part, that I admit that I stated publicly the results of a tarot reading. Admit that the plaintiff did not have an affair with Kaylee. I deny this. The plaintiff has not proven that she did not have an affair with Kaylee Gonzalez. The plaintiff's discovery attempts to gather information from the University of Idaho was limited and manipulated. Unless otherwise proven, I believe the tarot reading to be correct in its entirety. In other words, Ashley puts forward that you have to prove it to me that I'm lying. But no, this is a defamation case. Ashley has to prove that her statements were true, not that they were a tarot reading. She is holding on the defense that because the spirits told her this, she has every right to believe it, and that makes it her truth, and that should be good enough. But it's not in a legal case, because facts are the legal case. And the reason that she's getting sued per se for defamation is because there is no evidence that any of this is true. And without it being true, she's liable. She has to prove it's true and that her statements were not falsehoods or misconstrued and that they didn't cause damage. She believes that the tarot reading, you see this here? I believe the tarot reading to be correct in its entirety. This is her belief. Admit that the only basis for your statement that the plaintiff had an affair with Kaylee Gonzalez is your spiritual research, intuition, and instincts. She says she denies this matter. I also used investigative skills, public information about the case, public information on the University of Idaho website, logic, and behavior analysis based on the actions of the plaintiff during this civil case. Do you hear what that said? During this civil case. So she's using what they have said during the case as to why she made the statements, but she already made the statements, but now she says that confirms that what she said was true. In a way, that makes sense to me, you know? Hey, Juju. Hey, Mrs. Cassandra. Nice to see you both. She keeps saying that she denies that it's just that, that she's saying that she had to admit that she's never been to Moscow, Idaho, that she's never been to the state of Idaho. Admit that you are not aware of any physical evidence linking plaintiff to the murders. She still denies that fact, that there's plenty of evidence to be discovered during the civil discovery process or the criminal trial. The discovery process for this trial is pretty much, there has not been any evidence. Well, she says they could come up at any time, so she's going to deny it. Admit that you are not aware of any physical evidence showing the plaintiff had an affair, and she denied that too. Admit that you never said plaintiff communicated with Brian Kohlberger about the murders until after Mr. Kohlberger was arrested on or about December 30th. And she denied that too. And she says, before Kohlberger was arrested, I referred to him as Scofield's second option for a hitman without the name. Admit that you never said plaintiff had access to a white Hyundai Elantra until after law enforcement publicly stated they were looking for it. She admits that. Admit that you have never communicated with Jack Decor. I cannot admit or deny this matter. Many people have anonymously contacted me by way of electronic communication. That's a fair and honest answer. It is. Admit that you have never communicated with Brian Kohlberger. I cannot deny or admit or deny this matter because many people have anonymously contacted me. Admit that you have no written information showing the plaintiff ever met Zaina Kernodle. I cannot admit or deny it because I have not received written information showing the plaintiff ever met her. Discovery is still pending. Public information from the victim's social media show that the plaintiff met her. However, Rebecca Scofield denies it. Admit that you have not received any information orally from another human being showing the plaintiff ever met her. And she admits that. No human has told her that there was a relationship between Zena and Rebecca Scofield. Admit that you have no written information showing the plaintiff ever met Madison Mogan. She won't admit or deny that either, because she hasn't received any information showing the plaintiff ever met her, and that the information is still pending, and she believes social media may show that the plaintiff met Madison. Admit that you have not received any information orally from another human being showing that plaintiff ever met Madison Mogan, and she admitted it. Admit that you have no written information showing that they met Ethan, and she says it again, the same thing, and then again says orally she has received no information. Okay. And then again about Jack Decora. And as of today, December 15th, 2023, when she answered these, this matter is admitted. However, discovery is still pending. So she admits that she has no written information showing that plaintiff ever met Jack Decora, and she means Rebecca Scofield. She has accused Rebecca Scofield of hiring Jack Decora to commit the murders, and that Brian Scofield was the second hitman that she was going to use. She admitted that she had no oral information from any human being showing the plaintiff ever met Jack. Admit that you received and read a cease and desist letter from the attorney Stoll Rivers LLP dated November 29th, 2022. She admits this. So here she is admitting that she was advised that they had an issue with her talking like this about her, and she went forward after this cease and dismiss. Admit that after you received and read the cease and desist letter, you continued to state publicly that Rebecca Scofield had an affair with Kaylee Gonzalez. I deny it. I did not receive November 29th, 2022 cease and desist letter until December 8th. So she's saying that's because of the dates that she did stop about that. I'm not sure. She's not saying she stopped particularly talking about it. She's just saying that she didn't receive it until the 8th. Admit that after you received and read that cease and desist letter, you continued to state publicly that Rebecca Scofield was involved with the murders. And she denied that too, because she says again she didn't receive it until December 8th. So admit that you received that cease and desist on December 8th. She did. And admit that after you received it on December 8th, you continued to state publicly that Rebecca Scofield had an affair. Yes, she admits that. Admit that you received and read that cease and desist letter from December 8th, and that you continued to state publicly that Rebecca Scofield was involved in the murders. Admit it. Do you see the issue here? What they are looking for, she's admitting she did. Admit that you are aware, and she's also admitting she has nothing to actually, besides the guidance from the sex. She's saying she did investigation. She's saying she checked socials. Here's the big one, and it's the last one on this article I'm going to do. But I will actually copy this all and download a good link for you guys to read it yourself. But admit that you are aware that on or about December 27th, 2022, the Moscow Police Department issued a press release related to the murders, stating, "At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the female associate professor and chair of the history department at the University of Idaho suing a TikToker." Oh, I just lost it. Did you see that? It just jumped right up. Okay. Do not believe the female associate professor and chair of the history department at the University of Idaho suing a TikToker user for defamation is involved in this case. She admitted it. Admit that after you became aware of the press release described in request for admission number 29, you continued to state that the plaintiff was involved with the murders. And she admits that too. And this is why I think legally she has a problem. Okay. I'm not going to, I don't want to make fun of her for her beliefs. I found that interview of her to be a person who really does believe what they're saying. And she may have some experiences that for that, and she really believes she had a right to say what that tarot reading was. And the more people pushed on her that she shouldn't, the more she chose that the more she felt like her rights were being violated. You know, it doesn't seem real, right, Juju? It sounds like something we wrote as a goof, but I swear to you, it's real. I swear. I'm going. I'm gonna actually, um, I will download it in get it in the drive for you guys. Um, oh, it is just for me. I found myself thinking, like, what rights actually of hers were actually being uh violated. And she feels, in a way, she was put out of her business. She was pushed, you know, in regards to being called a liar, being called that she was just doing this for money. She says she lost clients, she was ridiculed, she was harassed, she gets numerous bombardments, and that's not fair either. I mean, I do, but I feel for her. I do. Okay. Um, it's just, does she have the right to interfere with somebody else's life because of her rights? I mean, where do you draw the line, right? We talk about this all the time. Freedom of speech does not mean that you have the right to interfere with anybody else. I mean, you're not supposed to cause harm, right? And that leads me to the next part that I'd like to talk about just a little bit. I'll put together a little something for you about defamation itself, because we have covered quite a few of these cases. Okay, well, how does that happen, like in actually Idaho? What does this actually mean for this case, right? Like, where does it actually stand at this point? Okay, defamation in Idaho. In Idaho, defamation is defined as the act of making untrue statements about another which damages his or her reputation. One key to defamation is that the statement must be untrue. If a customer leaves bad reviews on your services based on their actual experience, that result is damaging, but it's not defamation. It was their experience and it happened. It's a fact. Now, they can have an opinion on a fact, and that opinion can be very unflattering to you. But people are allowed to say it. It gets a little better. Like, I think we can all agree on that one, right? Hey, Pete, good to see you. Always good to see you. So you say, who can be defamed? Who can defame? Just about any Idaho resident can sue for defamation. Rebecca Scofield lives in Idaho. Minors may be represented in court by an appointed adult who serves as their proxy. Adults may sue other individuals, corporate entities, or out-of-state parties. Ashley is out of state. If the defamation occurred within the state's purview, well, it was an Idaho case. She spoke about the Idaho case, and TikTok can be viewed in Idaho. So who can be sued? Again, anyone can make false statements. However, you generally cannot sue if the statements are true. The only thing Ashley has to prove to get out of this without having to pay is to prove that she had any truth or any facts to document why she said what she said. Not just that someone asked her to do a TikTok reading and the spirits told her this. She needs some kind of evidence to prove that it could be plausibly true. Not without, not, and remember, this is civil court. So it doesn't even have to be without a reason, with no doubt. It just has to be plausible. One scrap of evidence to show that it's plausible that any of this could be true. And that's why she believed it. And that's why she keeps saying it. She just keeps saying that if they finish this investigation or if they do it right, they're going to find out that she's right and everybody else is wrong. You generally cannot sue if the statements are true, or they were made under legal privilege, were made in good faith, or were not intended to harm you. Ashley contends that she doesn't intend to harm anyone by doing her TikTok readings. And I believe that. I don't think she's malicious. After seeing her interview, I do not think she's malicious about this. Okay? Hey, Mandy. Good to see you too. Mark, do they? Oh, Mark's spirits say they speak to him from a Tumblr. Yeah. Oh, please hang for a while, Pete. Now that Mandy's here too, you should hang for a bit. Like, I love it when you two are here. It's like an old Murdoch crew game. Here we go. But anyway, this one's pretty good. So anyway, Ashley Guillard does not actually mean to harm anyone, but her actions, no, undoubtedly caused harm to Rebecca Scofield. That's Rebecca Scofield's angle on it. That's where she's coming from. That's why she sued. It was outrageous to be tied into this, in far as Rebecca Scofield was considered. Okay. Where can defamation happen? In the modern world, anywhere. Okay. And it can generally, all that is required is that statements be false and that it be published or spoken to at least one other person. Ashley had a TikTok channel with a lot of views. He spoke to a lot of people about this, and on her YouTube channel too, which I want you to check out, because her featured video, which I listed her channel, and if you go to her featured video, she says why she's doing what she's doing. Okay, and she tries to explain it. Okay, and I want you to hear her side of it. I think it's important that we hear both sides of it. I want to give her fair due. I do think that she is delving into a legal issue that she's not really going to have a lot of success in unless laws change. There's no precedent here for her belief, and that's going to be a problem. And there's no evidence that if she had any evidence at all that these spirit guides gave her information that was true, if anything comes to light that she can use in her case that proves that anything that she said might be true, she would have a leg to stand on, so to speak. But what Rebecca Scofield says happened. She spoke on it. She accused her. She said it repeatedly. She said it repeatedly after she found out that they said they weren't investigating her because there was no evidence against her. She said it repeatedly after she was asked in a cease and desist to stop. She kept with it. And I I admire her strength and determination and her courage and her belief to go forward this way. This is unprecedented territory legally. I mean, there have been other, psychic cases and stuff like that, but someone defending themselves this way, and she's intelligent. She's ex-military. She's intelligent. She's well-spoken. She believes this. This is the point that I'm doing this stream. She believes those spirits told her to help avoid a problem for other people. She believes she's doing the right thing by bringing this information forward. And that's why I wanted to do this stream, to get that part as part of our documentation of the Scofield Guillard case. It's only fair to her to do that because it is how she's representing herself. It is in the legal documents about that belief. It is in her answers. Okay, however we feel about it, you know. Okay, so slander can occur if a business competitor spreads lies about you tells a potential lender that you've committed fraud, your neighbor tries to ruin your house sale through lies, or your ex says you committed immoral behavior. Libel includes things like false social media posts by neighbors, fake reviews on the internet, or lies in written advertisement by a competitor. Why do you need to prove economic damage in defamation per se? Because there are three broad categories in Idaho. And the first is the standard of defamation of a private individual. The plaintiff must prove that they have suffered some kind of economic loss, a job, reduced income, additional expenses due to that defamation. Simply being defamed with no financial suffering may result in little or no compensation. In there go a failed civil case. The second category is defamation per se. This type of defamation is so egregious that it is considered malicious on its face and requires no actual economic damage. Defamation per se includes things like accusations of criminal acts. May I say that again? Defamation per se includes things like accusations of criminal acts, of having a taboo disease, or a moral turpitude. Finally, there is defamation of a public figure. In these cases, the public figure may have to prove that the slander or libel was malicious in intent. Ashley Guillard has accused Rebecca Scofield of not only criminal act of murder, but of moral turpitude in having an affair with a student. By putting that affair with the student belief out there, I was going to say lie, but it's not fair. Unproven statement. She jeopardized her career. Professors aren't supposed to have affairs with their students. I mean, yes, they're both adults, but it's not looked on very kindly, especially if you're up for tenure or renewing a contract or going for a coveted position in your field. Being accused of murder is criminal. These are the facts that I was hoping Ashley would become really, really, really familiar with before actually fighting this the way that she did. Okay. Damages for libel may be limited to actual damages unless there is malicious intent. Is there malicious intent when Ashley Guillard continued after the cease and desist and after the police's statement of the investigation? Is it malicious intent when, without any physical evidence, she continued? It doesn't have to be proven that actual harm to your reputation occurred to collect damages for libel if it is defamation per se. In other words, being accused of a criminal act or moral improprieties. The communication affects your business, trade, or profession, implies you committed a crime, leads on that you have a loathsome disease, or suggests that you are somehow sexually impure. There's a couple there that Ashley needs to be concerned about. Defamation is also very difficult to prove, as there are various factors that are to be taken into consideration. The court must evaluate the defendant's investigation or lack thereof. The court is allowed to delve into, and Ashley needs to provide the evidence of her investigation. She says that on social media there's evidence that they met. Rebecca Scofield strongly denies it, and Ashley has said it's there, but hasn't provided it. How thoroughly the investigation was handled will reflect upon the nature and interest of the person who communicated the statement. Generally, defamation damages will not be awarded if the defendant had an honest but yet mistaken belief in the truth of the statement. It was a TikTok tarot reading. It was a tarot card reading that was requested by a customer of Ashley Guillard, which she did provide in performing her business, in acting along the lines of what her business actually is. So it's kind of, I'm kind of, I don't think Ashley Gilliard is going to win this civil suit. But I wanted her side out there. She really does believe she has the right to perform her business. It's not illegal, her business. Tarot card reading is not illegal. That's how she made her money. She said she was performing a duty and responsibility of her business. And that she believes her spirits. And nothing anybody says is going to make that any different for her right now. Okay. The amount of charges that can be awarded is a matter of subjective determination for the court based on all the facts and circumstances in each case. There is there is case law on defamation in Idaho. Then from the article I had, there was tons of it. I didn't give it all to you. There's no specific time frame in the law for a person to cease and desist in an action. When there is no specific time frame stated, the courts will generally imply a reasonable time frame, which is a subjective standard based on how a reasonable person would act in similar circumstances. And that is if the court comes forward and actually says that you need to stop talking about it. Mhm. I have to check in Idaho, but she's not registered in Idaho. Where she lives, that would come into effect, Aaron. That's a very good uh, thing to bring up because he says a lot of jurisdictions have strict laws about for-profit psychics. I wonder if they'll factor in, and that is something I'm going to research also. Okay. She has tried to put together a defense. Well, she hasn't actually done a tactile one to where there's something tangible you can actually sink into. There's no physical evidence. Hey, Charlie. Mm, but anyway, the Idaho Statute 6-702, the Uniform Single Publication Act, means because, and this is what affects her the most, no person shall have more than one cause of action for damages or libel or slander or invasion of privacy or any other tort founded upon any single publication or exhibition or utterance, such as any one edition of a newspaper or book to any audience or any broadcast over radio or television or any one exhibition of a motion picture. Recovery in any action shall include all damages for any such tort suffered by the plaintiff in all jurisdictions, which means she did it as long as they find her guilty on the one. That's it. It doesn't have to be a ton, and it's not going to change the outcome. Like, how many times that she kept putting this thing, although it is in all of the evidence, and that is the end of the defamation, the defamation part of this. Let me just go through for questions because I did that kind of fast and I didn't even check if you had any questions as I went, which I really should have. Oh, let's see here. I don't think she is being malicious. I do think she is out of her league here and needs proper legal counsel. Exactly, Juju. As I saw how well she presented herself and all, I really don't think she had the intent. I really think she does feel that this is her business and that she was just conducting her business. And, you know, I just do. I just really think that there's something there about things that we may not believe in that others do, and they have businesses doing it, and they have plenty of people that believe with them. But the law, I mean, Ashley herself in her interview on Swamp Rose's channel actually did say that her opinion in this tarot reading, it's not a fact. Fact, she said she doesn't like to use that word because it's a legal term. Well, that legal term matters in this case. It is the case. Unless Ashley Guillard comes up with one fact to prove anything that she was saying was not defamation, Rebecca Scofield could win here. I do agree, Pete. You're so much better than a Murdoch crew. You are. You definitely are. I love when you guys are here. Aaron just said guilty. Who are we talking about? You just don't come on, Aaron. Like, you can't just like guilty automatically. Okay. I thought I had spirits speak to me once from my toilet bowl, but thinking back, that was probably just a mutant sewer jellyfish on their mating season. Could be. Could be. And now Pete says non-guilty. Who are we talking about? Come on, guys. You can't judge right away. We're waiting for the hearing. Hey, Wrecker. Thanks for the orders. I hope you had a good day at work. If you're listening, I'll talk to you after because I'm still live and you're on the way home. So, could have been snakes. It could have been instead of the jellyfish. It could have been. Yes, I agree. Had she been registered as clergy, she might have been to defend what she said under freedom of religion, but for profit, psychics don't have that much protection. Freedom of religion, yes. Freedom to defame, still, I think that might be dicey. It would be a little closer, I agree. There's more precedent for it, Aaron. At least there's more cases. Yeah. There's no precedence here. Sounds almost like the entirety of the Trump presidency. There's Mark. I should read these things before I put them up, but I do get it. It's a very good joke, and I'm eternally laughing. And I will be laughing for a while about that one. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. It isn't Monday. It's Tuesday, and I'm so happy there. You know me well, Pete. I don't do Monday. Yes, Mrs. Cassandra, she was accused of an affair and murder. And both of those are just defamation per se outright. And that's going to be a problem because Ashley, in her answers, actually admitted that that's what she's just sticking to it. That it was in that tarot reading and she's sticking to the tarot reading. By some social media influencer. Yep. And I can imagine how she feels. I do feel for Rebecca Scofield. Her life got turned upside down by these. You know, she presents herself very well spoken, and I think she's learning a lot. In the interview, she said she's been doing a lot of research. But she does come off as kooky because a lot of people just don't believe it. You know what I mean? So, but I wouldn't say kooky. Not like she served in the military. She's very business oriented. She's really attacking this as her business. And she's very put off at the fact that her life also has been affected detrimentally by it. Well, she's still standing behind her right to report on what a TikTok, what this tarot reading said. And to say that, how do you know the spirits aren't telling the truth? Well, it's on your burden to show that what you're saying is true. Otherwise, it's going to be defamation. Okay? Because Rebecca Scofield can prove through the investigation in the police department that said that she had nothing to do with it. She's not under investigation. There is no physical evidence that she had any relationship with anyone involved. She has that going for her. Ashley would have to prove the opposite to get on the same footing for this case. A lot of jurisdictions have strict laws about for profit. I already read that one. Sorry there. This is a big lesson for Ashley on what to say about her readings and what not to say. Unfortunately, and I kind of feel bad for her because she should have the freedom in a private in a tarot reading to be talking to the person that she's contracted monetarily to perform this service. Now she's doing it out to the public. So here's the problem. It wasn't just between Ashley and her client, was it? It was put out on TikTok repeatedly for anyone who wants to listen. You did not have to pay Ashley to hear this opinion. For Ashley to say she was just kind of like doing, her business is what she does. She can't really say that because she was making some money on TikTok about it. and she did get paid for the reading, but she promoted the dialogue of the reading repeatedly over and over again. And it looks like she did it for sensationalism. I won't say that's why she did it. Only Ashley knows why she actually did it. Okay. But I encourage you to go listen to the interview. I encourage you to go to her YouTube channel and listen to her talk about why she is presenting it the way that she's presenting it, because I think her side needs to be out here too. We've read the legal pleadings of Rebecca Scofield, and we've talked about them in every other stream that I've done. I just thought it was important to not just poo-poo her away, because for me, legally, I'm kind of intrigued here. Yeah, I am. I think she's got a good point. It was her business. It's her belief. You can't tell her, like, she can't talk about it. And I'm like, can you? Can you not? Where are the lines? Where are the lines legally? You know? Let me get to some more of these questions. You just need a minute. Okay, I'm going to give you. All right. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't get a 3-day weekend, Mrs. Cassandra. I did. I did. Here, it's President's Day on Monday. It was. A lot of places were closed. All right, here we go. If she had portrayed her readings as what the ghosts think rather than saying this is what happened because ghosts said so, would that have changed her chances? No, because she still is saying that the spirits have told her. She's saying the source of her information is the spirits, her guides, her spirit guides. And that she stands behind it because spirits don't lie. They're not human. Humans lie. Spirits don't. I do believe she said something along the lines of she's going to believe her spirits and not a human. It's been proven that humans lie over and over. Given the choice to believe her spirits or Rebecca, she's going to believe her spirits because they do not lie to her. Spirits do not lie. She sort of did, though. She said the spirits told her this is what happened. Exactly. Yep. More so, I mean, if she's presented it as the opinions of the ghosts rather than fact based on ghosts for evidence. But that's not what she did. She is accusing, and she keeps saying that the investigation is going to prove her right, in that we just don't all have the information yet. And she's accusing in her own voice, not just that. She's saying that she got the information from the spirits. Well, she's saying she checked it out and she believes it. She's saying she did her own investigation, but she's not providing the evidence of it. You know what I mean? Like, nope, she just came forward and just as if it was true, even after the cease and desist. Because if she's going to say it was only the opinion of the spirits, that's not what she's saying in the answers either to the interrogatories. Okay. Could she use her chat as a defense? Her chat kept telling her to stop. That would show people didn't or don't believe her statements. She could, but there was plenty. There was just as much people that did believe it, and it doesn't matter if people believed it. She's got it out there, and it was still a matter of controversy. And Rebecca Scofield was still asked about it, felt uncomfortable, had difficulty going out in public or anywhere near where there were large people about that might approach her about it. She did receive, messages and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the amount of people that count. Yes, there were people in her chat telling her to knock it off. Well, that's not going to be a defense for her. If anything, that's going to show intent to continue what could be a damaging statements to Rebecca. She chose to continue even after other people warned her that there was no evidence out there, that they were saying the contrary in the investigation, that the police had come out and said, nope, not true. It's actually would go against her, I do believe. But I get where you're going with it, like, Hey, fish nerd. I'm sorry you had to work yesterday, Mrs. Cassandra. I mean, hypothetically, if she had done that, would things be going better for her? Not necessarily, because the spirits weren't the one out here defaming Rebecca. It was Ashley. Ashley was who people heard it from. Ashley was the one that produced the videos, put it all over TikTok, did a YouTube video on it, continued her statements, and answered her interrogatories with admittedly doing so. So I don't think it would make much difference because she is, in essence, saying what you say, Rocket Cow. She is saying that she got the information from the spirits. That's their opinion. They're the ones that are telling her, you know. The spirit sounds like a great defense. The spirits can't be compelled to testify. Exactly. So it's no defense at all because the spirits can't testify for or against, which means it's moot. And she has no defense. Yes, yes, Mrs. Cassandra, her chat was going wild, saying like, she kept doing it day after day after day, and they were getting more and more. People actually, she lost clients, and she blames Rebecca Scofield for that, which was part of the countersuit that she did. That she got tossed out, because it was her actions that caused the clients to leave. Because she was talking about Rebecca Scofield. It wasn't because Rebecca Scofield came into her chat and did anything. It was her actions that actually caused the clients to leave. Talking about this case, they were telling her things like, "Listen, this is sensitive already. Idaho, everybody's upset in Moscow, Idaho already. How can you don't have any evidence? You really can't do this. You're going to get yourself in trouble." And people were actually trying to reason with her, believers of her, followers of her, clients of hers. She did lose a lot. And then when TikTok pushed against her too, she feels like nobody was supporting her. She's very much says that TikTok did not have her back. Yeah, I didn't watch every video either, Juju, but I did see, they kept telling her, you're going to get sued. They warned her before the suit to stop. Yeah. And you're right, Mrs. Cassandra. They weren't wrong. She did get sued. Yeah, she should have stopped. Yep, she should have. Well, that's more than an hour on Ashley. And I do hope that you will check out the videos that I have linked in the description. I will get the other legal documents ready for you, and I will add them as a folder to the description as soon as I get them all up and download them and put them in a Google link that can be shared. But my system didn't cooperate with me very much tonight, and it kind of shut down the Pacer tabs as we were going. I was lucky to get those back up. But here we go. But yep, she was warned, and yep, FAFO. Yes, I do. Oh, but at this point, I mean, I do think legally, I would like to see like what actually is going to happen as far as the judge going for summary judgment, or if he thinks there's enough here to go to trial. If he thinks that Ashley has a valid point that she was only like she was doing her business, and that she has every right to say what the spirit said, like then we'll see. But because of the legal terms of defamation, which I kind of show you in Idaho, I don't think that this judge is going to do that. But I'm not the judge and I'm not a lawyer. So you never know. I mean, that's just my layperson's take on it. Mm. Hmm. Yes, Mrs. Cassandra, the way it shut down, I think it did think it was Monday and it was pissed. It thought it had the day off. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right. Hello, Mousy. Welcome back because I'm just about to head out. You're just in time to say goodbye and hello, like say hello and then goodbye to everybody and just hear the outro. I will tell you, I will be back during the week. I've got some stuff going on. Uh, I've got a lot of other things. There's some stuff going on. Oh, Danny Masterson has had a little bit of trouble that I want to talk to you about. We've got Scientology updates on all three of the lawsuits that I am following on that. Leah Remini, the Bixler case, in Jenny Doe's case against Scientology. I will try to get that out. I don't know the exact date yet, But Mrs. Cassandra and I will be back on Friday um with something for you. I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing yet, but it's going to be fun because it always is when she's up there with me. I have a great time. I hope you all enjoy it too. So now, about that Friday thing, please check the back of the community tab for the post in regards to the contest on what to call our Friday stream, which is kind of a combination of a few things and a little bit of fun. And we thought it would be great if you guys helped us name it. And there's a little cold cash or a gift certificate involved for anybody involved. We're also looking for ideas about thumbnails, backgrounds, intros, and outros, and you'll all be compensated accordingly for such. And I hope it will be fun because since you're all in the chats helping us have a good time on that Friday night, why not be a bigger part of it? Hey, yeah. And now, tomorrow is the first chapter of Restaurant at the End of the Universe. It will be out tomorrow, and we will have more coming out every fifth or sixth day. I hope that you enjoy it. It's the book 2 of the series, The Hitchhiker's Guide by Douglas Adams, that we're bringing to YouTube with different voices, a couple of pages at a time, 10 to 12 pages at a time. And it's just been a passion project of mine that I've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm very, very happy that we finally have it out. It's been a little bit of delay because I've been sick in some real life things. I haven't been as consistent with my streams. Hopefully we will keep at least Tuesday and Friday in every other Friday and or Sunday with Juju for Bear and B. Hopefully keep that as good as we can. That's a good one, Aaron. Weekend update, like week, like poor, like put that on the community tab, please, so I can enter it. I think that's good. Mippet did have a good one, Mrs. Cassandra. There's quite a few good ones there. I want everybody to get involved if you can. Like, I appreciate it. Hopefully by the middle of March, we'll be settled on what we're going to do with this, but it's always a good time. So I hope that you'll join us. And in the meantime, don't forget to check out Mousie's Fish Tanks. I don't know if she's streaming tomorrow or not, but I do know that Shenanigans probably is on Thursday, where you can find the lovely Mrs. Cassandra and her cohorts doing something fun. It's always a good chat over there too. So on that, if you want to follow also my boo Wrecker, will be doing transcription music. He's doing Tool right now, the pot, and I gotta tell you, the drum line alone is just tight the work they did. But you can find him on Twitch and Kick, and I have not given you any links to it, but in the description below, if you click on his name, it'll go to his YouTube channel, and there are his Kick and his Twitch. So, and on that, everybody have a good night. I'm going to put up the outro now. Thank you so much for reminding me about the banner. Thank you to my mods who are always so awesome, and to everybody who had a good chat with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you all again real soon. Good night.